use weight with different muscle groups simultaneously and flow with the weight, being able to direct and absorb momentum with different parts of your body to both absorb and redirect force and utilize the whole body as a. For today's workout, I'm doing a flow workout. Flow essentially means the ability to use weight with different muscle groups simultaneously and flow with the weight, being able to direct and absorb momentum with different parts of your body to both absorb and redirect force and utilize the whole body as a unit to move a weight in a flowy manner, to generate force from one side of the body or from one muscle group and then use that as an assistance to the other muscle group. An example of this that's really popular is traditional weightlifting, where you do a clean and jerk and you're hitting with the hips and then you grab and then you do a jerk. So in today's video, in today's workout, what I'm going to do is have two movements that are flow-like in nature and have one of them be a landmine and one of them be a kettlebell and superset both of them. I'm going to use relatively lightweight weight that I can flow with, but not necessarily heavy enough to where if I was doing just regular presses it would take me to failure or something like that. The goal of today is to kind of do cardio with weights, but again with that whole concept of it being flow-like in nature. But yeah, let's skip to the first superset. So for the first superset, I'm going to do a row to press. The row is going to be the initial motion that generates the force, and then I'm going to use that force and move it into my shoulder and use it as assistance to bring the weight all the way up. And there's also force generated at the hips. I'm going to do a thrust at the hips to be able to bring the weight up, kind of similar to a weightlifting motion. But yeah, this is what that looks like. I'm going for 5 each side. The second movement in the superset is a kettlebell movement. So for the kettlebell, I'm going to do like a regular kettlebell swing-like motion to get the weight up, but I'm going to leave it and then grab it with this hand and rotate at the same time. So this is what that looks like. So initially, just like with a kettlebell swing, there's force generated at the hips. There's force generated at the hips that allows you to swing. Then I'm applying more, since the hips are a strong muscle, they're able to apply a lot more explosive force forward that carries the weight much higher. At that point, if you drop it due to law of inertia, it's going to stay there for a bit. And so in that split second, you grab it with the other hand and go up and rotate at the same time. Again, this requires a lot of coordination and different muscle groups to work simultaneously. This kind of stuff will help you understand how your body works better, will translate better into more explosive movements, and also allows you to loosen up your joints, because if you're rigid through these motions, you won't be able to do it right. You need to be able to loosen up and flow in order to be able to perform these movements correctly, which will then translate to other movements, which is like throws or anything that requires you to move more fluidly and not be so rigid. I'm a big believer in being fluid, mobile, and that kind of stuff. And so I like doing stuff like this. Anyway, yeah, that was the second working set. I'm going to do this for another 4 to 5 and then move on to something new. Alright, I ended up doing about 6 sets of the previous one. And so for the second exercise, or the second superset, I'm doing elevated alternating landmine swings, or kettlebell swings, on an elevated surface, and staggered stance. So one leg's going to be up and the other leg's going to be down, and I'm going to switch in between with twist of the kettlebell. So it's like a whole flow from the movement into the legs, into the what's happening at the wrist, how the other hand grabs it, and then swaying back and forth in that fashion, activating all the same muscle groups on one side to the other. Really good feeling after. I'm going for about 8 each side. So you start off here in this, and then I'm going for 10 each side. After getting 10, the landmine movement. So for the landmine movement, sticking to the concept of lunges and a shoulder press, starting from a lunge stance and throwing it up, catch, alternate legs. But yeah, that's the second superset, doing 5 each side on the landmine. Alright, for the third superset, so it's going to be kind of, at least the landmine or the kettlebell exercise is kind of similar to the previous one, but instead of moving staggered vertically, I'm going to move staggered horizontally. And that looks like this. So, and I'm going to include the twist too. So I'm starting off in this position with one leg on the side, and then I'm going to start with the kettlebell in front of me so that when I lift it up, it kind of swings, and then twist. And then for the landmine exercise, I'm doing a curl, a sideways curl, press throw, curl, press throw, curl, press throw. Wait for 5 each side.
वर्कआउट के बाद मिलना।
हाँ
वो वाली वीडियो चाहिए, लास्ट में पोजिंग करी थी ना, वो चाहिए।
ठीक है।
अभी तो वहीं देख, मतलब भूल मत जाना है।
हाँ हाँ
पोजिंग करोगे अभी?
इसके बाद
करोगे?
बहुत देर है।
हाँ ठीक है, कर लो। एक काम करेंगे,
हाँ
कुछ टाइम बाद नेक्स्ट मंथ थोड़ा सा वो टाइम एप्स क्लियर होगी, थोड़ा लेट कर सकते हैं, 9 बजे वर्कआउट शुरू रोज। फिर कोई होता नहीं, फिर आराम से फोटो वीडियो शूट करा करेंगे, फिर जाया करेंगे।
हाँ देखते हैं क्योंकि मेरा भी काम रहता है सुबह, तो ज़्यादा देर रात रहेगा।
तो काम से सो जाया करो ना करके, फिर शाम को।
नहीं, मुझे वीडियो एडिट करना है, उसके बाद रात को वीडियो एडिट करता हूँ।
रात को वीडियो एडिट करते हैं ना।
हाँ ठीक है। Alright, so for the next combo, I'm doing alternate landmine lunges, but I'm going to throw and catch the weight in between. So, forcing me to require explosive force to be transferred from one hand to the other, and then again flow. My legs are getting tired. But going for 8 each side, and then with the kettlebell. So I'm doing a swing, but I'm throwing it, catching it in cannonball grip, pressing, throwing it, switching hands, and doing the same, going for 8 each hand. Being able to throw and catch the weights require a huge degree of confidence and coordination to be able to do this. I'm using just 25s, which is light, relatively light for me, but that's the whole concept of utilizing your body in a flowy way. Being able to seamlessly move from one muscle group to the other and toss around the weight. And if you have to start with 5s, you have to start with 5s. Start with 10s, you have to start with 10s. I have a 10-pound on the landmine. You can just use the bar. But again, this kind of working out might not be for everybody. It might not align with your goals. Personally, one of the things I get from this is I'm able to raise my heart rate and get a good cardio session in while using weights. This allows me to retain more muscle mass in the process of doing cardio. Then the other thing is it keeps my joints loose. I'm able to move freely or get accustomed to moving freely, which forces the joints to retain like a loose, flowy nature. This allows me, just in day-to-day life, even though I don't have any reason to generate a lot of power in day-to-day life, like hitting somebody or something like that, but it just makes me really accustomed to utilizing my whole body as a unit, not being so rigid as to just doing presses or squats. I'm able to jump, generate force from the jump, and move it into my hands. I'm really familiar with that kind of motion. Now, if you're someone who is a ball player or something, this kind of stuff will give you mental clarity as far as how to generate the most force or torque into most force, torque, whatever, into a ball while throwing it, or into a bat while hitting something, or into a kick. Like, what are the biomechanics? even if you're not fully accustomed to or understand biomechanics from a kinesiological standpoint, you get really familiar with how it feels in your body. But yeah, just some thoughts on flow style training. All right. So this is probably going to be the last superset for the Landmine kettlebell thing before I move into something else, probably the sauna. But so doing a press, swing, press, swing. Going for 8 each side. And then with the kettlebell, doing side to side oblique swings. So it's a swing. At no point should you control the weight. The only time you're applying force is when you're on the way up, and then let it swing down and let you twist. And then you use that inertia and pendulum motion to swing it back up along with your obliques. Switch legs or switch sides, whatever. Going for 8 each side. So yeah, this superset focuses more on the rotational stuff, more on obliques. But yeah, that's it for that. Maybe some posing or whatever next. So this is post sauna, post workout. Sat in the sauna for about 20 minutes, Jesus. And took a shower, got a lot of the, I guess, extra bloat out, and looks pretty good. Try to get thumbnails each time, but then the phone comes in the way, and I can't crop myself out properly. So I need to make sure I get enough shots where I'm standing straight but away from the camera. Yeah, getting a pretty well-defined ab, that's for sure. But yeah, that's it for today's posing. I don't know. You know what? Yeah, I was thinking I was going to break down my workout a little later, but maybe I should save it for a different time. I don't know. We'll see. If there's nothing after this, then I decided against it. But yeah.